Good morning, and thank you for joining us here this morning. We're here this morning to urge everybody not to drink and drive on this upcoming Super Bowl weekend. No matter who you're planning to root for this weekend, if you plan on drinking and driving, plan on having a designated driver. If you choose to drink and not have a designated driver, you're going to be an automatic loser. And you stand the chance of losing your license, your car, your freedom, and even your life. More tragically, you could take the life of an innocent victim. That's what happened to the innocent victim that was driving this car that's pictured here behind us. The family felt so strongly about drinking and driving and trying to stop these senseless tragedies from happening, they donated this vehicle to the Sheriff's Department to use in our avoid programs, in our teen driving programs. We hope this vehicle will serve as a tragic reminder to teenagers we go out in contact in our Start Smart program of just how tragic the consequences can be of driving and drinking. I'd like to also remind the parents around San Diego County about our social host ordinances. If you decide to host a party for your underage kids, then you'll be held responsible should something happen to them. If they get involved in some type of an accident while drinking and driving. Under the social host ordinance in San Diego County and about every city in the county, parents are responsible for the actions of their teenage and underage drinkers that take place in their home. So let's make the right decision this weekend, not just this weekend, but every weekend, and not drink and drive. I'd like to introduce Deputy Laura Shands now, who is the traffic investigator that investigated the accident that took the life of Pamela Marabes last year, who was driving this vehicle behind us. Deputy Shands? Here she is.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today. All too often we're harshly reminded of the dangers of drinking and driving, no more so than on Sunday morning, September 20th, 2009. At 6:35 in the morning, Pamela Marabes was driving to work. She was making a left-hand turn from Mission Gorge Road in Santee to State Route 125. As she was making that turn, she was broadsided by a 17-year-old high school graduate. The impact was so violent, it pushed both vehicles across the intersection. They flew through the air and they landed in an open field beyond the intersection. Pamela was killed instantly. The 17-year-old driver survived her very serious injuries. During the investigation, and it was a very long investigation, we discovered that the 17-year-old had been drinking and partying all night long. In fact, 7 minutes before this collision occurred, she was leaving a party in La Mesa. She had driven about half a block away from that party, and she rear-ended another vehicle, injuring a young woman. That was a hit-and-run collision. She fled from that scene, and she headed towards her home in Santee. As she came into the city of Santee, she was traveling approximately 80 miles an hour when she ran the red light at the intersection and struck Pamela's car. It was a very tragic and horrible loss of life. The 17-year-old's blood alcohol level was well over twice the legal limit for an adult. Once again, like I said, this was a preventable accident and one that we are hoping to avoid happening again. I'd like to introduce Erin Dimanche, Pamela's daughter. She'd like to say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Erin Dimanche, and my mother lost her life in this SUV. All because a driver, or an individual per se, decided to drive under the influence. And to be honest, it's truly impossible to describe the loss and grief that my brother and I have experienced. Unless you so abruptly have lost someone as we have, you can't even really begin to understand what we go through and the absolute anger and absolute destitution it causes us. And with that, I'm standing here pleading with you to not drink and drive, and so that you or anyone else has to endure the pain and loss that my family have. Our mother was our embodiment of home. She was a single parent who provided us with a sense of security, warmth, and unconditional love every day. She was a hardworking X-ray tech who works 2 shifts at 2 hospitals and sometimes even 7 days a week to provide for us. She was without doubt our rock and the heart and soul of our family. On September 20th, 2009, our mother, Pamela Sumer Bias, was killed while en route to her second job by an individual who made a decision to drive under the influence. The pain I felt at the moment that I was notified of her death is incredibly vivid to this day. I remember contacting the medical examiner and receiving a note on my door, and when they confirmed that my mother was in fact dead, it absolutely felt unreal. I fell to the floor and just cried and screamed uncontrollably. And that was the scene for days. It was heart-wrenching grief just to really try and understand that my mom wasn't coming back and accept the reality that she would never walk through our front door again. To this day, I cannot say the grief and the pain of her loss is lessened, but rather I've just had to learn to deal with life without her and live in her honor. Even more devastating aspect of our case is that our family feels the underage driver did not receive adequate consequences for her actions. Right now, under state law, driving under the influence, causing great bodily harm or death, is not listed as one of the 30 crimes that allow the district attorney to file a juvenile case in adult court. This is why the driver who killed my mother was not eligible to be tried as an adult. We feel that in our case, the unfortunate case involving Isaiah Wallace, as well as other recent DUI cases involving juveniles driving under the influence, are undoubtedly considered egregious and should be added to the California Welfare and Institutions Code 707B list. And I have made it my mission, as well as others have, to change this law. And with all of this said, I'm standing here today. I don't want pity, but I'm trying to explain to you this devastating effects that one driver and one individual who drove under the influence has caused my brother, myself, family members, and so many friends in this community, as well as Taya Chase, the other victim. It's caused us tremendous pain and loss. And I'm pleading with the public to consider your life, as well as the life of others, before getting behind the wheel while intoxicated. And remember that not only this weekend, but in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. I'd like to have Deputy Jason Rothline come up now and talk about some of the enforcement efforts that will be taken this weekend by a united law enforcement community here in San Diego County. Jason?
Good morning. Thanks for coming out for this very important topic. I just wanted to briefly tell you that we've heard the story of the tragic loss of Aaron's mother, and the sheriff stood up here and made a promise to everybody that if you drink and drive this weekend, you're going to go to jail. Well, I'm here to tell you how that's going to happen for you. I coordinate a department-wide or a county-wide grant that is a 3-year grant funded by the Office of Traffic Safety. It's the Avoid the 14 grant. And this coming weekend, we're going to have over 20 DUI saturation cars out on Super Bowl Sunday, including a prior or a pre-Super Bowl DUI checkpoint that we're going to be holding in Encinitas on Saturday night. The saturation cars are going to be out looking in both the incorporated and unincorporated areas for anybody going to or from Super Bowl parties, having been intoxicated, maybe leaving a Super Bowl party at halftime and going to get more alcohol or something else to eat, and any other situations like that might put somebody behind the wheel while they're intoxicated. We just want to remind you, use a designated driver. It's so simple. It's such a simple task, and it seems to be that we fail on it on so many times. So many of these tragic events like this are avoidable, and it's real simple. So we'd just like to remind you to use a DUI or use a designated driver to avoid a DUI. Save more than maybe just your life, but save yourself the hassle of going to jail or the custody, the fines of going into custody. And then be aware that last year during the Super Bowl weekend, we saw that during the same time period from midnight Saturday night till midnight Sunday morning, there was 135 DUI arrests made in the county. 4 of those involved injuries, and 1 of those was a fatality. And we want to see those numbers drop drastically. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jason. I'd like to have now from the Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Lori Brower come up and say a few words. Lori?
Hi, good morning. MAD was in court and helped Aaron throughout this horrific time, as we have with hundreds of other victims every year here in San Diego County. Many people don't know everything that MAD does, but victim services are a vital part of what we do. What we offer at no charge, of which we offer to no charge to victims like Erin and her family. We support law enforcement efforts because to us, every DUI arrest is potentially another crash avoided, another death avoided, or another injury avoided. MAD is about saving lives. We're not just Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. We are against the act of drunk driving, or any kind of impaired driving. We, of course, do not want to see any tragedies on our roadways during the Super Bowl weekend or any time, of course. And guess what? They're all preventable. 100% preventable. We want you to have fun, have a party. I hope your team wins. Just don't get behind the wheel after you've been drinking and drive. It's really that simple. We hear it often and we say it often. We're asking you to live it. Don't drink and drive. Thank you.
Don't really need that, right? Good. No, that's it for any formal comments. Would you be happy to answer any questions you might have?